Hello and welcome to Too Many Movies, the podcast where we discuss DVDs, Blu-rays, and even the occasional VHS tape. I'm your host, Hal, and William's not here this time. This time it's Matt. Hello, Matt.
Oh, we podcasting now? We podcasting?
Hell yeah. This is part 2 of the Looney Tunes episodes I'm doing. Last episode I did with William, we talked about Space Jam and Back in Action. Matt, I guess real quick, what are your general thoughts on Space Jam and Back in Action? So then the audience knows.
I did not watch those recently, but I mean, Space Jam 1, I guess, is like okay. Like, I'm not going to say it's a good movie all around, but I guess it is like charming in a way.
Yeah.
Unlike this next piece of shit we're going to talk about, but
yeah.
Now, Back in Action, I have not seen that in years. I don't know what I would think of it.
Oh, I highly recommend it. Yeah, I loved Back in Action rewatching it. I was like, this rules. It's messy, but man, it rules. I mean, it's a much better Looney Tunes film. At the very least, it's much better than Space Jam, which
I think
that's universally agreed upon.
I think when I did watch it, like years ago, I gave it like it was probably like a 7 out of 10 movie for me, but I don't know, maybe if I watch it again I'll like it more.
Yeah, it's very nostalgic for me. I think I am biased in that regard, but I like I said, at the very least it's a much better Looney Tunes movie than Space Jam was.
Yeah.
And it's certainly a much better Looney Tunes movie than Space Jam 2, our first movie for today.
Boy.
So yeah,
oh god,
I wanted to save Space Jam 2 for this episode because I felt bad for making William watch Space Jam 1, so I'm like, hey, now you get to watch Back in Action, a much better movie. This time I'm making you watch Space Jam 2, and hey, it's okay. I'm making up for it by having us talk about the Earth blew up. It is funny.
Yeah,
though.
I was gonna say, like, these movies are pretty much on the opposite end of the spectrum for me, so I guess it is fitting.
Yeah, it's so funny. The past couple of episodes, I've just pissed off so many guests by forcing them to watch something. I pissed off William by making him watch Space Jam. I pissed off Chaos for watching The Adventures of Super Pup. The grand like this, the pinnacle of this is me forcing Brian to watch Super Friends, and that ended terribly. So I love that. That's a running theme for the podcast. I'm making my friends watch things they hate, and now they hate me for doing so. But yeah, Space Jam 2.
Well, I don't necessarily hate you. I just hate the movie.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Thanks, dude. But yeah, no. Space Jam 2 is dog shit. It's bad. So yeah, I think to start things off, I think it's safe to say out of the 4 Looney Tunes movies that we've talked about over the span of these 2 episodes, Space Jam 2 is easily the worst one.
Oh yeah, 100%. Something about this movie that I think is really funny, the first thing I kind of want to talk about is that, like, much like the first Space Jam, which kind of reeks of, like, 1996.
Yes.
This movie kind of reeks of, like, 2021, and that is not a good thing. Like, if anything, that's worse.
Yeah, 2021, I still stand by that being quite possibly one of the worst years of movies we've had in some time. That could be for a numerous amount of reasons. It was post-COVID, well, post-2020. So we were starting to get a lot more movies that were meant for 2020. But also, I don't know, just something about that year was really bad. Not saying that no good movies came out, because they did. I do have my handful of favorites from that year. But yeah, I think in recent years, I've had other years where I'm just like, oh, this also kind of sucks. But I've also had years where I feel like I've had more positive reactions with movies. 2021, though, there was a lot. I mean, 2021 is so bad that Space Jam 2 didn't even make my top 10 worst of the year, Like, that's how bad. God. Yeah, that's how bad it was of a year.
This was kind of like a really weird time for family movies.
Sure.
And I'm not just saying that because of the pandemic. I'm saying that because, like, there was kind of this epidemic, I guess, if you want to call it that, for a while, of these movies that were just like reference equals funny.
Yes.
Like ever since the Emoji Movie, it felt like we got like at least one of those per year for a time.
Oh yeah, we had those like Ready Player One-esque movies, you know, where you just had, oh, we have all these references to other IPs that we own. Yeah, that was a bit of an epidemic for a while because yeah, you had Ready Player One, you had Free Guy, you had Chip and Dale the movie. You have this one. This was definitely one of those. Yeah, and it's bizarre because I get it kind of what they were going for with this one. You know, you have Looney Tunes, which is a Warner Brothers IP, and I guess, you know, they were trying to see like the stars align with this one where they're thinking, okay, we want to do a Space Jam 2 because Space Jam is now profitably nostalgic. We want to, you know, cash in on that. We have a brand new streaming service, HBO Max. We want to cash in on that as well. And, you know, like we were saying, reference humor movies are kind of hot right now. So, you know, all those reasons I'm sure were put into, hey, let's make Space Jam 2 this IP movie. And I get that from, you know, a corporate perspective. Maybe you want to do that. But then you see it in action and you're just like, my God, this is horrendous.
Yeah. I kind of hate the whole idea, honestly, of just making everything in like a studio, just like part of this one big corporate ensemble.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if it's like a smaller studio, then that's whatever if they make like the same things. But then you have like cameos from fucking like Pennywise and the guys from A Clockwork Orange in this movie, and it's like,
yeah.
What does this have to do with the Looney Tunes?
Right. Oh yeah. God forbid we have Pepe Le Pew in this movie, but it's okay that we have the fucking Clockwork Orange guys.
Yeah, it's just like, I think that just misses the point of why, like, you know, studios like Warner Brothers and Disney are so like profitable and successful, because they do make, you know, things for different demographics.
Yes.
That doesn't mean you have to fucking shove them all in one movie. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no, I've always been, you know, very critical of these kinds of movies because, you know, on the one hand, I feel like they're movies that Hollywood should be like slam dunking every time because, you know, I feel like us as consumers, we love our favorite characters and our favorite movies. And it's like the next step from that is like, oh, what if these characters that we love so much crossed over with each other and interacted? Like, that's a cool idea. We like seeing that in our minds. And then when we see them kind of expressed in the actual movies, they're very hit or miss. So it's like, why? Why is that very hit or miss? Because you'd think like Hollywood is taking these recognizable characters that we already love. So like it's doing the work for them. And just all they have to do is cross them over in cool ways, and they can't fucking do it. Like, why is that? And I think it is because it's way too corporate, where it's like, okay, we're just doing this, and we're not doing anything more than that. Like, oh, we're having Bugs Bunny show up in Matrix World, and just putting him in sunglasses and a trench coat, and that's it. Or like you have like the Matrix scene where like it's Granny and Speedy Gonzalez in the Matrix scene. It's like, why
Twitter lady, check her Twitter.
Why these characters specifically? And then it's gone, you know, and then it's on to the next thing. And it's like, okay, we're not really interacting with these characters. We're just making jokes about, hey, look at the things we own. It's like, yes, I know you own these things. I'm well aware that Warner Brothers owns these properties, but then they don't do anything with these properties. They're just there for the sake of being there.
Yeah, like the premise of this movie, like it's basically if like Sony, for example, if they made like Hotel Transylvania 5 or something, and instead of it being like in its own world with its own characters, it was just about Dracula going to different Sony worlds, and he was like, we got to find the Madam Web guy. Like it's so stupid.
It is very stupid, and it's even funnier looking back now because this is so obviously like a celebration of HBO Max, where they're just like, look at all these other things you can watch on HBO Max, like Casablanca, Game of Thrones, Batman. It's like, yeah, that's cool. And now this movie that's advertising HBO Max is no longer on HBO Max.
Yeah, but the day the Earth blew up is, so we're winning.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's just bizarre then, because it's like, okay, why go through all this trouble? And also, you know, I think the other thing too is like the references they make are not funny, because then, especially during the basketball scene, which it takes up half the fucking movie, which is just nuts to me. That like
that's another thing. This movie is way too fucking long. It's like nearly 2 hours.
Yeah, I'm not one to complain about movie length. I feel like a lot of people do that. They complain about movie lengths in bad faith, where they're just like, they see a runtime of like 3.5 hours and automatically they go, oh, that's way too long. When it's like, no, you can do a movie as long as you want and it can still feel like paced perfectly. I know this because I've seen plenty of movies that are like 70 or 80 minutes long. They're Tubi is chock full of those kinds of movies, and they feel like 7 hours because they're paced horribly. But sometimes a movie length does roll around where it's like Space Jam 2 is an hour and 50 minutes, and you're like, why? Why is it that long? It doesn't have to be.
Yeah, it's just like, oh my god, there's so much to fucking not like about this. I don't even know where to start.
Yeah, so, I mean, let's start, because I'm sure we've made some points, but we'll go back to them. But yeah, let's start with the idea of, okay, they always wanted to make a Space Jam 2. I mean, I talked about this with William. Like, they wanted to make a Space Jam 2 immediately after the first one because it was already a huge hit back in the 90s.
I do remember that there were, like, multiple ideas for sequels and stuff like that.
Yeah, and ultimately, what ended up becoming Space Jam 2 was Back in Action. And it's like, well, I think that was the better option. But, I think Warner Brothers always wanted to make a Space Jam 2 because, again, you want to cash in on that. And plus, now that the millennials were getting older and people, sometime in the late 2010s, we became very, very nostalgic for a lot of things from the 90s. And so, that's when we're like, okay, we're starting to cash in on these old movies and making sequels to them. So then it's like, okay, we got to do a Space Jam 2. And I feel like the internet always just kind of assumed they would go with LeBron as the next one because it's like, Michael Jordan's no longer the greatest basketball player of all time because he hasn't been for 20 years at this point because that was back in the 90s. Now it's like, okay, now we got to have a fresh new face. So we're going to have LeBron James. And that makes sense. So I feel like for years I always saw like, fan made posters of LeBron and Bugs Bunny. And then it wasn't until like around 2020 when they're just like, okay, now we're officially doing this. So it's like, okay, after years, now they're finally doing it. And it's like, I'm sure people were excited for that. But then when you see it in execution, you realize, oh no. Because, so first things off, LeBron James is somehow worse than Michael Jordan in the acting department. And again,
this guy barely emotes throughout like the entire thing.
He sucks. He's so bad. Now look, Michael Jordan is no Shakespearean actor. I've talked about that. He's also horrible. And in fairness, it's not their faults. They trained their entire lives to be basketball players, and they are incredible basketball players. But they put all their talent and effort into playing basketball, not acting. And so then when they try to act in front of a movie camera, they're not very good at it. And they're doubly at a disadvantage, especially now. Like, we talked about Michael Jordan being doubly at a disadvantage because he is like acting in front of a green screen and none of these characters are real. So he's just kind of depending on the director to be like, hey, you're talking to Bugs Bunny right now. And I feel like LeBron is going through the same thing where it's like he's acting in front of a lot of, green screens. He's definitely, in a voice booth when he's doing voice acting. Again, something he's not privy to. So like he's just very heavily dependent on the director to make sure he's doing all this right. But again, he's a basketball player. He's not used to this kind of stuff.
Yeah, like man, LeBron James like emotes so little in this movie. You would think like if there was a point in the story where like say his wife died or something, he would just be like, okay, that sucks.
Oh no. Yeah, it's horrible. And again, not to dock the guy. I mean, it's the same thing whenever like, as a New Englander, I'm a huge Patriots fan. I grew up idolizing Tom Brady. Now that Tom Brady's retired and he's no longer a football player, I realize the dude's kind of a dork. He's really charismaticless. Like, he's not charismatic at all. You see him you see him in commercials or like try to talk during football games, and he sucks. He's not good at talking. He's not good at being like a personality. He's just kind of there. He's like, oh yeah, football, cool. It's like, shut up, dude. Just go live in your mansion the rest of your life, you know? But again, it's because they put all of their talent and effort into being athletes, and they are incredible athletes, and you can't take that away from them. They are incredible, incredible athletes. And so they should just be athletes. They shouldn't have to be forced to be like characters in a movie. I get what they're doing. I mean, like we said, if you're making a Space Jam 2 and you want to have a new basketball star, LeBron is easily, you know, the first pick you would go for. Of course, he's going to be, you know, the main character of Space Jam 2. It's just, maybe it's a good reminder to be like, okay, Space Jam as a concept kind of sucks because we're taking a basketball player who can't act and putting them in a movie with Looney Tunes characters. It's just a dumb idea to begin with. And so, and again, we're not having a director, you know, who is the director? Malcolm D. Lee. Like, he's not really somebody who I think can really get a good performance out of LeBron, of all people. I think you can get, I think if you have the right director, you can get a good performance out of an athlete. Because I wanted to actually bring this up. Have you ever seen Uncut Gems?
I have not, no.
Okay, so Uncut Gems, Kevin Garnett is a basketball player, and he's a character in the movie. Like, he literally is, because it takes place at, you know, in the early 2010s when he was a basketball player. And he's great in Uncut Gems. You know, he's obviously playing himself, so he's not, but like, I feel like he's still directed in a way that he feels fully natural in that movie. And it's like, Kevin Garnett is not a personality the same way, I don't know, Shaq is, you know? We're like, I feel like if you got to know Kevin Garnett, he'd probably be pretty boring because, again, he's an athlete who puts all his talent and effort into playing basketball, and that's it. But because the Safdies are great directors, they know how to pull a good performance out of anybody. Like, the Safdies famously will just put random fucking people they find on the streets of New York City and just put them in their movie, and you wouldn't even know. Like, they blend so perfectly with Adam Sandler and Robert Pattinson. It doesn't matter. So, like, those are directors you can probably get anybody, a good performance out of anybody. Whereas, like, I don't think you're going to get that from the director of this movie because, well, Warner Brothers doesn't care. They're like, all right, we have LeBron James and Looney Tunes. That's it. Make a movie. They don't even care about performance or anything like that.
Yeah. I'm sorry I haven't really been talking throughout this. It's just I'm not really well versed with athletes and shit like that. I'm not a sports guy.
No, that's all I had to say about that. So please, any notes you have, I want to bounce off of.
Fucking, like, I guess going back to LeBron, I will admit I guess it is admirable that they at least tried to do some 2D animation for this movie, I guess. Yeah. But if I'm being honest, it doesn't look that good. I don't know. This is probably just a me thing because I'm a cartoonist and, like, I notice this stuff better.
Right. Yeah.
But it's just something is wrong with the animation, and I can't really pinpoint what it is. Yeah. Like, comparing it to, like, the animation in The Day the Earth Blew Up, it's like it feels so different. Yeah, like the philosophies and stuff. Which I'm guessing they had to cheap out on it for, like, the ugly fucking 3D abominations in the latter half of the movie.
Oh yes, yeah, no, that I think at the time when I first watched this back in 2021, I just was excited to see anything 2D animated that I was willing to accept it. I'm just like, oh, this looks great. But, like, now that we've gotten a couple more 2D animated films in the past couple of years, especially with The Day the Earth Blew Up, it's like, yeah, this kind of sucks now. Like, it doesn't look that great. And I think that, I mean, it's the same reason the animation in Space Jam compared to Back in Action is very different. You know, the animation in Space Jam is all right, but then the animation in Back in Action looks far better. And I think it's because it's the difference between who's at the director's chair. It's like somebody who doesn't care about Looney Tunes versus somebody who does. And this is, I don't get the feeling, I get the feeling, like I said this with Space Jam, I get the feeling that, you know, the people working on this movie. There's probably a lot of people working on the movie who do have passion for Looney Tunes. I just don't feel like the guy in the director's chair or the people like up above, like making the big decisions with this movie do. And so
yeah,
Space Jam 2, yeah, you don't get a lot of expressive animation that feels very, yeah, I agree. It doesn't look very good. Sometimes it looks fine, but other times, I don't know. Yeah, it's clear that they didn't, they did the best they could, but it doesn't look nearly as good as it does in Day the Earth Blew Up or like those, modern Looney Tunes shorts. Yeah, it's
while we're on the subject of like the 2D animation, like honestly, the only time that I was like consistently laughing in this movie, and it's not unironically, it was because I was laughing at the movie, was the whole scene where like Bugs and LeBron are trying to recruit all the Looney Tunes, and like quite literally 90% of the dialogue is just like, "Oh my god, it's Superman!
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's the Matrix!" Like,
yeah, or like I really hated that scene because it's obvious that they just cheaped out and just reused footage from these older movies. I was talking about that with somebody, how like, I wasn't, not that they have to like, go to South Africa and refilm everything having to do with Mad Max, but it just felt very cheap that they just reused footage of Mad Max Fury Road and superimposed Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner into them. And that's all they did. Like, I guess maybe they had that scene where they dressed up LeBron in that mohawk and he's just like, whoa, why are we getting these guys? Whoa. But it just felt kind of cheap that like, okay, you're using all this footage from other movies and just superimposing the characters into them. It's like, why aren't we recreating them or like in a certain way? I don't know. I just felt it just didn't feel very creative. It felt pretty like a very bland version of what they were trying to do.
And, like, talk about, like, the movie being references equals funny. It actually isn't just limited to, like, other Warner Brothers properties. There's actually a few references to, like, the classic shorts in here. Like, there's reference to, like, Rabbit of Seville at one point. And also Big Chungus, obviously, which apparently it wasn't actually a reference to the meme. Like, the animator who did that scene was referencing just the original cartoon that it was in, which I think is very funny. It was just like unintentional. Probably the only funny thing about this movie.
I'm skeptical on that. It's like, really, you're like, yes, I know that's the original, like that's what happens in the original cartoon, but like after, like, let's not pretend that like Big Chungus was not known to people at that time. Big Chungus was huge. Obviously, it had been a couple of years since Big Chungus. Like Big Chungus was bigger in 2018 for sure. I don't know. I find it that very sus. It's like, I wasn't referencing Big Chungus. Oh, like, come on, dude. I don't believe that for a second.
It would be funnier if it was unintentional, but
sure.
Yeah.
But of course, like, yeah, you want to like make that reference. I don't know, because like I don't know, because it's just it's weird that because he's referencing Elmer in that scene, because he's like, oh, I'm hunting rabbits. But Elmer hasn't looked like that in 80 years. Like, that's the part that's kind of like, that, like, he dresses LeBron up in the Elmer costume, and he explicitly does, like, the fat Elmer. It's like, okay, Elmer hasn't looked like that since that cartoon. So it's just kind of weird that that's the moment he would decide to do. I'm breaking apart a scene that is only a couple seconds long. This doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. I'm sorry.
I do love the fat Elmer though. Like,
a
couple of shorts where he was fat.
Oh yeah, no. I again, like the Big Chungus short is genuinely a great cartoon. Like, yes, it's funny that out of all the jokes in that cartoon, the one people decided to hone in on is the part where he turns into Fat Bunny and turns into Fat Chungus. But like the rest of the cartoon is phenomenal. It's a great Clampett short.
Yeah. Also, I mean, this is probably a stretch because I think they're just referencing Superman itself, but like the fact that it was Daffy wearing the Superman outfit at one point, it really reminded me of that one short that I think you talked about,
Stupor Duck.
Yeah.
Well, so can I complain about that clip? They're using all the Superman the animated series designs and character models, and they're playing the Christopher Reeve Superman music at that point. Now, I get it. The Christopher Reeve Superman music is the most popular Superman theme song there is, but they're using Superman the Animated Series assets. Why not play the Superman the Animated Series fucking theme song? That bothered me. As somebody who just binged the entire Superman the Animated Series, that did kind of bother me.
Yeah, see, I don't really know much about that, so I didn't even really notice that.
No, I know. Literally only people like me and Chaos would probably point something out like that. So that's totally fair.
Okay, to give like one slight compliment to this movie, and it's a slight compliment, but I guess it is one. I do kind of like the idea of like all of Bugs Bunny's, all of the rest of the Looney Tunes just like leaving Bugs in the Toon world and him going like insane and like making dummy versions of them and like drinking carrot juice. Like that's a funny idea, but it's just kind of like there.
Yeah.
Don't really do much with that.
And it is a weird... It's a weird way they phrase it where he's just like, oh, he misses his family. It's like, I don't really think of the Looney Tunes as a big family like that.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like in general, like I think for most of the time they try to make like all of the main Looney Tunes characters just like this one big ensemble, but I don't really think that was ever the point of them.
Kind of like the Muppets or like, you know, Mickey Mouse and Friends. That's what they're trying to do, but it's like, that's not really what the Tunes were about. You know, it was all these different characters. I don't mind it in theory. It's just in action I don't like it because it's very schmaltzy, and it's like these characters do not get along. Like they would probably get along for a little bit, but then, you know, Bugs wouldn't miss them because he genuinely likes them. He would miss them because, you know, he wanted to fuck with them.
Yeah, he can't like screw with them anymore.
Right, exactly. Like do that angle, but they don't do that. So they're just like, oh, he misses his family. It's like, no, that's not Bugs Bunny.
I guess the implication is that they're all just kind of actors, because that's been like a common trend in the Looney Tunes since really the classic shorts, with shorts like, you know, like Showbiz Bugs and stuff like that, where, you know, they are implied to be, I guess, actors, but it's still just kind of weird.
Yeah, you can do Friends. It's just I don't know. Like, yeah, the way they do it is they cross a line where it's like, okay, this is not who these characters are.
Yeah, fucking God, I just the like second half of this movie where it's all just the basketball game is genuinely so fucking tedious that it hurts.
Oh yeah, so the first half is just them making references to other Warner Brothers icons, and it sucks. And then the second half is them just actually getting to the titular basketball game, and it's even worse, which is weird. But like then you watch it, you're like, no, the point of the movie is actually worse than the fucking references they were doing.
Yeah, it's just like, you know, something else I really want to mention, because this is something that on rewatch it really got to me. Like the fucking like, you know, like overly technological like art direction that this movie has, really I don't know what it is, but it really pisses me off.
It's bad.
It's so generic and oh my god.
Yeah, they're obviously, I get it, you know, they're supposed to be in the computer, they're in the server verse, and yeah, Algae Rhythm is in charge of everything, and so like, you know, everything's going to be all robotic and technical because it's made by an AI. But I don't know, yeah, there's still no creativity with that. It's like, okay, we're still watching a movie. Movies are visual. Like the visuals should be fun and good to look at, and they're not.
It reminds me of how like Ralph Breaks the Internet mainly took place, like half of it just kind of took place in that like really minimalist corporate looking internet world.
Yeah, and there's no jokes about that. Like, you know, minimalist corporate art is, you know, one of the biggest laughing points for the internet, because everyone's just like, this sucks, this looks ugly, objectively ugly. And you think like, oh, this is the part where we can make fun of that. It's like, no, they don't even make fun of it. Like it's taken in earnest. Like, yeah, it just looks bad.
I also like, on the subject of that character, Algae Rhythm, there's like a point at like the beginning of the movie where like LeBron James and his son go to like a Warner Brothers meeting with him. And the scene is basically like, oh, look, LeBron, we can put you in this thing. We can put you in Harry Potter and blah, 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 which seems like it's, I don't really think it is, because I don't think they're self-aware enough to do this. It kind of seems like it's maybe a commentary on like casting random celebrities in random roles for no reason. But if it is, like, who the fuck are you to talk?
Well, that's something that actually did kind of bother me. So, like, the original Space Jam is very simple in story, where it's like, okay, aliens want to turn all the Looney Tunes into slaves, and then they get Michael Jordan to play a basketball game for them, so then they don't have to be turned into slaves. It's like, it's dumb, but it's simple. Here, the story is, okay, Algie Rhythm, Don Cheadle's character, wants to put LeBron James in movies. He wants to so I didn't understand, was he trying to put him in movies, or is he trying to make like a virtual reality experience where you can play as LeBron? What is his ultimate goal? And then it's like, and if you want your son back, you have to play a basketball game. It's like, what? But okay. Like, and I get the movie is supposed to be like, oh, this is a terrible idea, but it's like, I don't even get what the idea is, like, you're putting LeBron James in Harry Potter world. Is that a game? Is this a movie? What is this? Like, what's the joke? I don't get it.
It's just like, oh my God. And I want to, like, the scene that always gives me a headache is the one where, like, all of the Warner Brothers characters come in, and it's like composited and shot like horribly, like it's just a visual fucking headache.
Oh yeah, so the actual basketball game where, like, all the characters, so they have all the cartoon characters come in, then they have like a bunch of like Warner Brothers IP characters come in, and then they have like the crowd shots are horrendous because I can't see anybody in them, or like I can, but it's so distracting because they don't do anything. So like, oh, you have Tim Burton's Penguin and you have Joel Schumacher's Mr. Freeze at one point, like, in the crowd. You have the Mask in the crowd. You have the Clockwork Orange guys in the crowd, but they're not doing anything. They're not characters. They're just people cosplaying as those characters, and then nobody's talking to them. So it's like, okay, you have these instantly recognizable characters and you're not interacting with them. So it's incredibly distracting that they're there. It's like, why do you have Voldemort if you're not going to have Don Cheadle talk to Voldemort? He's just kind of there.
Yeah.
Why are you putting the Iron Giant and King Kong and Fred Flintstone in the crowd shots and not having characters interact with them, or not having them comment or do anything? Like, you just have the characters in the crowd shots doing nothing. It's like, why are we including them in the first place? Because these are instantly recognizable characters and they're not doing anything. So I'm distracted. I'm like, my eyesight is not going towards Don Cheadle in that scene. My eyesight's going towards Voldemort in that scene. Cause it's like, hey, I recognize Voldemort. I should be paying attention to him. Oh, he's not doing anything. I'm wasting my time. Why are we putting him in the fucking movie then?
That thing you said about like Don Cheadle talking to Voldemort reminded me of like, it's a really stupid, like, small joke that I shouldn't even be like talking about, but it pisses me off so much. It's the part where, like, I don't know who, this movie's so bad I can't even remember who said this, but like, it was someone, like, I don't know, ripping on Don Cheadle when he's like, when he turns into like the big buff like version of himself or whatever.
Yeah.
And he just swears at him and it's bleeped.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh my God. I think it's just because of other movies where I've seen this, where that is genuinely like one of the laziest ways I've seen like an adult humor be inserted into like a kid's movie.
Yeah.
I can think of at least 2 other movies where that's happened, and it pisses me off. The first one is fucking the DC League of Super Pets, where there was that like turtle character.
Yeah.
That their entire character was just that one joke on loop.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure you haven't seen this because who the fuck cares? But like, even recently in the 2025 Smurfs movie, they do a joke like that.
Really?
And it's just like,
okay.
Yeah, near the end, and it's just like, what's the joke? Is that he's censored? Okay.
Yeah,
but it's a kids movie.
Yeah, like, I've never understood that joke because it's always done in earnest, where you just have the character bleeped for no reason. Like, they do the joke in Puss in Boots: The Last Wish too, and that always kind of bothered me too. But people forgave that one because the movie's good. It's like, yeah, the rest of the movie's good, but it's still like this very incredibly distracting moment where you just have a character bleeped. I don't know. At the very least, I can kind of get it with Space Jam, like here, because Don Cheadle's an AI, and I guess, you know, it's very robotic that he censors himself. Whereas, yeah, like in DC League of Super Pets, it's just, oh, the character is just being bleeped in universe, I guess, or something. It's a distracting and dumb joke regardless, and it's very rare that you can actually pull it off.
At the very least, you could add some like funny sound effects.
Yeah, that's usually what
instead
they,
of
what
just
they
a
would
normal
do.
bleep.
Yeah, that's always been a thing. Is like, oh, in other movies, whenever a character is quote unquote censored, they'll put like, you know, a cow moo, or like, you know, a different character says something in the moment to like block them out. You know, they've done it in very clever ways, but in the past couple of years, yeah, they've done that distracting thing where they'll just straight up put a TV censor bleep in the moment. It's like, no, don't do that. That's distracting. That's dumb. Like, don't do that. Like, be clever with your censoring of the swears in this movie.
I know that's such like a small thing, but it really got to me because I hate seeing that joke.
No, I agree. It's a bad joke. I really want people to stop putting them in kids' movies. Like, at the very least, censor them cleverly. But no, they don't. It's dumb. I agree. I'm on your side with that.
No, the Looney Tunes in this are like, I guess fine, but like, you know, when the rest of the movie's so bad, it's just like I don't really care at that point.
Yeah,
I want to talk about Lola because we've been ignoring Lola for a little bit.
Yeah, so Lola in the original, when I talked about this with William, he had mentioned that like Lola in the original movie is like kind of hyped up, but she's not in the movie a lot. She's in like a handful of scenes in the movie. Yeah, they definitely do hype her up in this one a lot more. And I feel like she does play a bigger part here. But she's somehow worse in this movie than she was in the original.
Yeah. Here's the thing, like going back to what I was saying about like these two movies feeling like two different time capsules of two different periods.
Yes.
The original feels much more like, you know, like, oh, this is just a token girl character. She's sexy and she has bunny boobies, as Doug Walker would say.
And she doesn't like being called doll. She's like, don't call me doll. And she's like tough and badass in that sort of way. It's like, sure.
Yeah. And in this one, it's 2021, so she's more of like a strong, independent woman type, but not in the way that's like good, but the one that's like boring.
Yeah, exactly. It's quite apparent by having her in the Wonder Woman world, where she's just like, yeah, she has Wonder Woman, and she's like doing like the Amazonian test, and then she like saves LeBron and Bugs, and she doesn't get there in time. But she becomes an Amazonian anyway because, oh, she's so tough and she saves everybody and she's so cool. It's like, yeah, you're absolutely right. It's a different kind of female character writing that's just as obnoxious, if not worse, than what came before. Yeah. It's so obnoxious and so dehumanizing. It's awful. I hate it.
It's weird because it feels almost like they do want to like give her more character than just like bunny boobies, but they don't really. She just kind of doesn't do much.
No, yeah, that's why like it's very much. I've talked about this before. It's very much overcorrecting like the sexist writing of past, and it's like, yeah, obviously back in the day, the way women that were written for most movies was pretty awful because they're just sex objects or they're just, you know, emotional wrecks. They're written by people who don't understand how to write women. But now they're also written by people who don't know how to write women. It's just, oh, they're not sex objects or emotional wrecks. Now they're hardened badasses with no character traits whatsoever, but that's somehow
now listen,
better.
I'm not against badass tomboy woman. Like, if anything, I love you. It's just like you need to have character.
Oh yeah, no,
and
of
not
course,
be boring.
Yeah, of course, yeah. That's why, like, it's not every female character written nowadays, but it is a strong majority of like, just the strong badass female who don't take no shit from nobody, and it's like, this is boring because it's written by a fucking think tank committee at all these movie studios. Yeah, no, I agree.
Speaking of boring, it's just like also I really, when I watch movies, like even if I'm bored, I try not to like skip them too much. But like the scenes with like Algae Rhythm talking to LeBron's son are genuinely like I just genuinely wanted to skip it bad. That was the closest that I was.
Because at least
skipping anything in this movie.
At least with the scenes of the movie where they're going to all these different Warner Brothers locations, or they're like, at the basketball game, like those are at least, they're bad. They're still bad and they piss me off. But at least I'm like engaged with hating on those scenes. Like, when Daffy's in the Superman the Animated Series world, I hate it. But at least I'm engaged with that scene. Yeah, whenever it's LeBron's son talking with Don Cheadle, it's so boring because you don't care about these characters. You don't care about LeBron's son. I get they're trying to have like a different angle with like the LeBron and his son thing where it's like, oh, he doesn't understand that his son is a gamer or a game developer. It's like, I don't care that his son's a game developer. This is stupid.
This movie's gamer oppression.
Yeah, gamer oppression. And then, Don Cheadle, God bless him, he's trying, but he does not have the same sauce as other Looney Tunes villains. And he's just, I don't know, I don't even understand what he's doing. I get he's supposed to be like this AI that created the serververse, but he's just not doing anything to make him stand out. Like, a lot of people like him ironically, I guess. They're just like, oh, at least he's having fun. It's like, yeah, I guess, but I don't know, he's just not doing much to really make me care. And then those scenes where he's talking to LeBron's son are done so in earnest, where he's just like, man, your father doesn't care about you, but I care. I think what you're doing is super cool. I think it's cool you're being a game developer, blah, 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 blah. It's like, I don't care. I'm not here for emotional father and son bonding storyline. I'm here for fucking Looney Tunes.
This is the thing about this movie compared to Space Jam 1. Like, Space Jam 1... like you said earlier, its plot is very dumb, but at least there's like an element of like, okay, I can laugh at like how surreal everything is, and also like, there are other characters, like I forgot his name, but like the chubby fat guy character.
Yeah, Wayne Knight's the character in that movie.
Yeah, Wayne Knight. Yes.
It's also only 90 minutes, so you're not spending too much time with the movie. Like, it's paced pretty okay for like a 90s children's movie. Like, there's no fat. It gets right to the point. Whereas here, they're just adding on so many scenes, and it's like, I know the filmmakers don't care about the LeBron son scenes, but they're like, but we have to. Like, this is how you write movies with scripts, with stories, with characters. It's like, no, make them interesting first and then plot out these scenes. Yeah, you don't care, and it's just adding on to the runtime even more.
Yeah, and it's like, another thing I want to mention that I kind of forgot about because they are so forgettable, but the fact that in this movie they replaced the Monstars with the Goon Squad, which that's a name that aged very well. That's what I call my friend group, the Goon Squad.
Hilariously. Yeah, it's aged horribly already. It's like the Goon Squad. It's like, oh, sure.
And all of them are just like DeviantArt, like X-Men-esque, like OCs for some reason.
So they are, so much like how the Monstars take, the Monstars in the original movie took the basketball powers, quote unquote, from famous basketball players. That's why, Charles Barkley and Patrick Ewing were in the movie. But in this one, the Goon Squad is OCs of actual basketball and WNBA players. So like,
I actually did not know that. I thought they were just their own fucking stupid ass characters.
Yeah, no. So they are. So there's the Brow. That's Anthony Davis, who is a basketball player. I don't remember what team he played for back in the day, but he is a basketball player. And like, the Spider Woman and the Snake Woman, those are WNBA stars. And like, there's, what is it? Yeah, like Wet Fire. Like, he's I forget these guys' names. I'm not as familiar with them. And then there's like Kronos. Yeah, like those are actual basketball players just made to be monsters, but as the Goon Squad. So they have all these different powers. I don't know if it's supposed to be the actual players or if they're fake versions of the movie didn't do a good job at explaining that. I don't know if they're the actual players or if they're just OCs of the players. It was bizarre.
It's really hitting me, you talking about this, just how fucking awful the world building in this movie is.
Yeah. It's bad. It's so bad. Like, and again, even like it's so bad, even though I don't know these basketball players, even if I did know these basketball players by name, you know, I still don't understand like what the point of them being included is. I get it, like they're the goon squad, you got to have the other evil basketball players, but like the way they go about it is so fucking lame.
Yeah, and honestly, like the fact that I know that they're based off basketball players now, it kind of reminds me of what they would do in like the old Looney Tunes shorts, where they would just give anthropomorphic animals, like they would just make them caricatures of like celebrities, but it's like worse.
Yeah, it's much worse because again, even if I knew them, it just doesn't change the fact. Like it's just lame. It just is so fucking lame.
Yeah. I will say my favorite scene in the movie is the rap scene. Ironically, obviously, but
this is what I was said at the beginning. Like I wanted to mention this. So I had a bit of a Mandela effect, I guess, where I realized, wait a minute, because I'm familiar with the video online where it's just like Daffy and Parappa. That's who that is. Where it's I slammed my penis in the car door. Like I had a bit of a Mandela effect where I'm like, wait a minute. Did that come first or did Space Jam 2 come first? Because I realized, because when I saw Daffy in the green sweatshirt, because I'm familiar with that video because Daffy's in the green sweatshirt in that video, but like I didn't remember if that came first and that this movie was referencing that, or if this movie came first and the video was referencing that. I had like a bit of a brain shart moment where I'm like, wait a minute, what? Like which came first?
Yeah.
I'm assuming this came first.
Yeah, I think so. And I say that's my favorite scene, especially because I actually have a very funny history with it.
Oh, please go into it.
When this movie originally came out and I watched it, I thought that was like, I don't know what it is, but like cartoon characters rapping in general is just like peak comedy to me. So when I got to that, I was like, I became obsessed with that, and like that one image where they're all together and they just all have their like arms crossed, and Daffy's like it's so good.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's so cringy, and it's cringier now because like like you have the characters dress up in like, oh, these cool rap outfits, and it's supposed to be cringe, like, oh, now we rapping now, but like the movie thinks it's ahead of the joke because it's like, oh, we're making this very cringy rap scene, but it's like, okay, you're still doing it though. Like that doesn't change the fact that it's cringy. Like it's still cringy. And then they make Porky rap.
Notorious P.I.G.
Biggie's rolling in his grave with that one.
Oh my god. Just
I get it though. It's dumb. Like, so I can see where you can get like comedic, so much comedy from that. But nothing will ever top I slam my penis in the car door.
Yeah. That's like infinitely funnier than anything in this movie.
It's so funny. I'll play it right now.
I slam my penis in the car door. You slam your penis in the car door.
Okay, and we're back. I just played the clip. I edited it into the episode.
Yeah, it wasn't like you just went silent for a second.
No, that definitely didn't happen. Shut up.
Shut the fuck up. Oh god, I don't even know what else to say about this movie. It's terrible. Probably one of the worst Looney Tunes things ever.
Yeah, if it's not the worst, it's definitely down there. Yeah, this was a weird movie when it first came out because there was a lot of people trying to hype it up, like ironically, being like, yeah, it's bad, but at least it's funny bad. It's like I can't go that far.
It's just not funny bad. Space Jam 1 is funny bad.
Space Jam 1,
not even bad, but like
yeah. Well, I think Space Jam 1's bad, but in a funny way, because it's embarrassing, but it's like it's been long enough that like it's charmingly embarrassing, where you're just like, this is so dumb. Yeah. But I've talked about this before. I am more willing to get enjoyment from movies, like from bad movies from other decades, like 90s cheese, 80s cheese, 2000s cheese. 100%. I will eat that up all day. Sometimes there are some bad versions where it's like, okay, even I can't get over how bad this is. But I feel like on average, I'm more willing to go through bad movies from these specific decades than I am from, the 2010s or the 2020s. Maybe that'll change. Maybe 20 or 30 years from now, I'll be able to handle cringy movies from the 2020s. But at the moment, because they're so fresh and it's so embarrassing in the moment, I just can't. I can't get any ironic enjoyment from Space Jam 2 because it's, I don't know, like it's just, I think because the first one is so embarrassing that it's like, okay, you can play off of that, and the movie really doesn't. Like this one's just like, we're gonna be even funnier and be even goofier. It's like, no, you're just even more embarrassing. I think it's because a lot of the jokes are heavily on, look at this thing we own.
This has been kind of, honestly, like this is reminding me, this has been kind of a trend I've been noticing with, like, in particular when they do like remakes or like legacy sequels to like family movies of years past. There are certain movies, like obviously like stuff like Space Jam and like the Tom and Jerry movie from the 90s and like the Jim Carrey Grinch, where they'll like try to do them again, and because people kind of just forgive them because like, oh, they're not the shitty sequels of they're not the shitty adaptations that came before, but they don't actually make it better. It's just more boring.
Right. Yeah, because you get, like comparing Jim Carrey's Grinch to the 2018 Illumination Grinch. I am more willing to watch the Jim Carrey Grinch. Both movies are terrible. They're awful, awful adaptations of the original cartoon and book, but I'm more willing to forgive the Jim Carrey version because, I don't know, I just get more enjoyment out of it. And I feel like separating it from years past, I'm able to kind of forgive its cheesiness, whereas the Illumination movie is just way too corporate. I think that's the other thing too, is like movies nowadays are even at their worst. They're at their worst because they're so corporate. Like they're so mandated to be that way, because it's like you have all these people like putting their fingers in the pie and just like saying something like, oh, we got to do it this way. We got to do it. Like it's the attention to detail to make the movie the way that it is so much more sanitized that it just comes across as more boring. Like, yeah, I've always said this. I much prefer the prequels to the Star Wars sequels. I much prefer, like I just said, the 2000s Grinch to the 2018 Grinch. Like, these are not my ideal versions of my favorite things. I much prefer the 1960s Grinch. I much prefer the original Star Wars trilogy. But if I had to choose something like in second place, I'll take the thing from the early 2000s or late 90s compared to modern times.
And I mean, like, this movie isn't out yet. Like, look at me judging a movie that comes out. But also, like, I have a feeling that this is probably going to happen yet again with the fucking the Cat in the Hat movie that's coming out. It's probably going to happen again.
Yeah, but it's not. It's been delayed because they went too far.
Yeah, they went too far.
It's so awful. Oh, the movie dude has been posting in my server where like every time he goes to the theater, he'll record the trailers, and he'll record the moment, like he'll record the Cat in the Hat trailer specifically, and he'll record the moment where like it's like the toot fart moment. It's just like it's just every time. It's like it's so awful.
Like, because I've been seeing that trailer for a while.
Yeah,
like it's been almost every time for some reason. Even when I went to see fucking James Gunn's Superman, like the trailer for that was there too.
It's
weird.
It is weird, like what trailers they'll decide to play during which movies. It's like, hey, I'm here to watch the new Final Destination, why are we playing this children's movie trailer? That probably didn't happen, but like it might as well have happened.
Yeah.
I don't remember the trailers that played before the new Final Destination movie.
I think the Naked Gun played before it, which I think is funny.
I mean, that makes sense because like that's at least, you know, like a PG-13 comedy compared to like
but it is a comedy, so it's kind of like
right. It is weird that we're playing a comedy trailer before, you know, a horror movie, but I think that makes infinite more sense than playing the Cat in the Hat trailer before Superman. Like that's weird.
Yeah.
But
oh my God,
Space Jam 2. I think it's fair to say it's bad. Like I'm not part of the irony crowd on this one. It's just bad. It's somehow a worse Looney Tunes representation than the original Space Jam is, and that's impressive.
Yeah,
you know, like
I gave this a half star on Letterboxd, and something you should know about like me is that I'm not very like I don't usually. I'm not one to like rate movies that low like on a frequent basis.
Right.
I mean that's not to say that I like everything obviously, but it's just like it takes a lot for me to like really hate a movie like that. It either has to have like no effort put into it whatsoever, or it's just like it has to be more than just like, oh, it's boring and forgettable and I can just forget about it. It has to be like either it's so boring that it pisses me off, or it actually like kind of frustrates me.
I am the same way. I used to be like, I think it is, 2021 when I was just like, oh, there's nothing this movie can give me, half a star. And it really got me kind of miserable and depressed because I'm just like, like I said, I had only 10 slots for my worst of 2021 video, and I didn't even have the worst movies. Like I didn't include a bunch of half-star movies in that list, and it's like, Jesus Christ. So like I feel like after that year I do try to give a lot of movies the benefit of the doubt. Obviously, yes, sometimes a movie comes along and it's like half star, like what do you want me to say, like this is just horrendous, but I am trying, and like, but sometimes a movie just comes along and you're just like, what is this, what are we doing here?
I think it just comes down to like everyone has their pet peeves.
Sure.
So if someone like rates a movie like half a star or like whatever rating they give, it doesn't necessarily mean that like it's actually that bad all around. It's just like, just personally, you just hate it.
Yeah. I mean, that's,
and this movie ticks it.
Yeah,
this movie like really ticks all the boxes for me.
Yeah, I think, you know what, because whenever I've once did this, I once looked up all half-star ratings for The Dark Crystal. So famously, The Dark Crystal is my favorite movie of all time at the moment. But like that is one of the most important movies in my life to me. Like it's one of my all-time favorite movies. And I looked up half-star ratings for it, and those are just funny to me. Like I was laughing because they're just really funny.
Yeah.
Because it's just, one, like it's just interesting to think people, I don't think I genuinely saw like a genuine review for The Dark Crystal being half a star. I think it was just majority people being like, the Skeksis are scary, half star. Like that was just funny to me. So it's gonna depend on the rater when it comes to what people will give a half a star, but I can fully believe somebody watching Space Jam 2 and giving it a half a star. I gave it a 3 because it's bad. Like it's like, I usually try to like at least imagine a 4 means like, there was some effort here. It just wasn't meant to be. 3s I've been given a lot where it's just like, there's really not a lot. There's some things, but like very minuscule. Like I like that they, went with the 2D style. I don't think the 2D style worked all the time, but I like that they attempted that. And some of the jokes were kind of funny. It's just a lot of the jokes weren't.
Yeah.
But like, I could easily rate this lower the more times I watch it. But like, I think it's best if I don't watch it ever again. That'd be cool. Let's never watch Space Jam 2 again.
Yeah. Let's watch better movies. Like maybe the next one.
That's a good point. Yeah. So now time to make up for Space Jam 2 with, I said this in the last episode. I'm willing to admit it though, that I think The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie, is my favorite Looney Tunes movie ever made. This is so special to me now that I've seen it twice now. I watched it for a second time recently. I love this movie. This is a good movie.
And I will say something that I don't think you can necessarily call a hot take, but I would say more of a surprising take, and that is that I think this movie might be on track to becoming like legitimately my favorite, not just Looney Tunes movie, but my favorite animated movie, just period. If I'm being honest.
Cool. Yeah. Honestly,
yeah,
I can see why. Because here's the thing. It's not like, a big grand scale celebration of animation like something like, I don't know, Spider-Verse is. But it is exactly what it needs to be, Like it's a Looney Tunes movie. So I feel like all 3 Looney Tunes movies up to this point have been like big movies, big bombastic movies. Both Space Jams are big, live action animation hybrid movies. Back in Action's is big bombastic meta narrative about Looney Tunes and their place in Hollywood or whatever. And then here, it's literally just a sci-fi animated movie about Porky and Daffy trying to save the world from aliens.
Yes. And I think, this movie has a lot of like history and context behind it, so I really want to go over most of that.
Yeah.
So the thing with this movie is I don't know if you've like seen it or even really heard of it, but there was a Looney Tunes reboot they did starting in 2020 when HBO Max launched, just called Looney Tunes Cartoons, which, to be fair, that's a really dumb title because, like, to me at least, because, like, if you say that, you're just going to confuse, like, you're just going to call it the HBO Max Looney Tunes because that's a very nondescript title. You're not going to, but whatever.
Yeah,
they titled it that, whatever.
Yeah.
And the guy behind it was a guy named Pete Browngardt. If you know him, he's actually the creator of the Cartoon Network show Uncle Grandpa.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's safe to say that he was pretty fitting to helm a Looney Tunes reboot. And the thing with this reboot is that it wasn't just like, like a sitcom like the Looney Tunes show, or just like a poor writer's attempt to like do the slapstick again. No, this was actually a conceited effort to do what they did with the original Looney Tunes, where they like drew the cartoons on storyboards and where they like, collaborated with different gags and stuff and just made like simple slapstick cartoons.
Right. Trying to harken back to the original like cartoons of yore.
Yeah. And not only did they do that, but they made sure to go for kind of like, and you'll see it in this movie too, obviously, a kind of like the specific era of Looney Tunes where it's like the World War II, like mid 1940s, like Bob Clampett stuff. They deliberately based the art direction on that and like the characters and stuff. And I thought it was a really good show. I wouldn't say it's like a perfect show, but I think it's probably the most faithful that the Looney Tunes has ever been, really, since the original cartoons. And specifically for that show, they brought back kind of like the classic like Porky and Daffy dynamic where, instead of Daffy being like the stagehand to Bugs like he was in the 50s onwards, they actually, they kind of harken back to like Daffy and Porky just being like a comedy duo where like Daffy's the kind of the wild card and Porky's the straight man who has to deal with him. And so when the movie was first announced or when it came out or whatever, I saw some people saying like, well, why is this a Looney Tunes movie? Why don't they have Bugs Bunny in it? Well, the thing with Daffy and Porky is that they're kind of the only Looney Tunes duo that doesn't want to like kill each other or eat each other. So if you're gonna make a movie like this, that's probably the best duo to go with. So it was announced, and it was originally going to be a TV movie. Actually, it was originally going to be on Cartoon Network and on HBO Max, where I guess it is now, but it was originally going to be like an exclusive to HBO Max.
Right. Yeah.
And then all of the David Zaslav shit happened, and suddenly it wasn't ever officially canceled, obviously, but since all the stuff with like Batgirl and all of that was happening, like it was a movie that was very much on the chopping block. But there was an independent distributor named Ketchup Entertainment that actually bought the rights to release the movie, actually released the movie officially, and not just on like streaming, but also putting it to like theaters, which I have to say was a fantastic idea, because this movie does, even though it is smaller scale compared to the other movies, it still does feel very cinematic, as it were.
Yeah.
At least I think so.
Yeah.
I don't think it would have been the same if it was on, if I was watching it like on the television per se. But yeah, the movie came out. It did get some fanfare, but I guess it didn't get quite the fanfare that it hoped. But honestly, I'm not going to act all doom and gloom about it. I wouldn't say it was a failure. It's just that not enough people really knew about it.
I think it did well enough, though, considering the movie that it is, you know? Because, like,
yeah,
I think...
like, it had everything going against it, and I think it actually did make at least some money back.
Yeah, I mean, it was a big enough hit that Ketchup then got the rights to Coyote versus Acme, and so then now they're releasing that. So, like, that's got to account for something. Yeah, it definitely wasn't like a $1 billion hit or like a massive Spider-Verse hit, but I think considering that, you know, it's current year and the tunes are never going to go away. I feel like, you know, that's kind of what I like about this movie. It doesn't have like an underlying theme about like, oh, the tunes are old and nobody cares about them. It's like, no, everybody cares about the tunes, or everybody who does care about the tunes still does to this day. You know, these are incredibly popular characters. They're not going to go away. They'll probably have...
If anything...
No, go ahead.
If anything, I would say this movie like revels in being old school, really.
Yeah, totally. And yeah, no, I really do think, yeah, you were talking about how, like, you know, some people were complaining like, oh, where's Bugs Bunny? You know, yeah, that's a common misconception that like Bugs Bunny's the main character of Looney Tunes. It's like, no, the Looney Tunes, it's not called Bugs Bunny, it's called Looney Tunes. There's several characters in the Looney Tunes canon. So, you know, there were plenty of Looney Tunes cartoons that had none of the players coming back. Like, I think I've talked about this before. There's this one cartoon on a Three Stooges DVD I had growing up. It was called like Hollywood Steps Out, and the reason it was on that Three Stooges
that's the
DVD,
one with just a bunch of celebrity characters.
Yeah, it was a bunch of celebrity caricatures from the 40s. The reason it's on this Three Stooges DVD is because the Three Stooges make like a 3-second cameo. But it started off by saying like, oh, you know, Merry Melodies or whatever. And and me being me, I'm like a kid who grew up watching Looney Tunes. I'm thinking, oh, Merry Melodies, Bugs Bunny's going to show up at some point. And so it just and then it like starts and it goes and it's going and going. And I'm like, Bugs Bunny hasn't shown up yet. Where is he? And then it ends. And I'm like, oh, okay. I guess that was weird. Like, so yeah, they did plenty of cartoons back in the day where like even some of the regulars wouldn't even show up in a cartoon. Like they would just do like random celebrity jokes like that. So yeah. And I was talking about this with William, how like it's a very smart move on their part where they made a Looney Tunes movie like this about Daffy and Porky. And now we're going to be getting like a Coyote versus Acme kind of movie. But then it's like, okay, we have these movies coming out. We really got to get a Bugs Bunny movie going because I feel like he is a major character. I think
there was supposed to be a Bugs Bunny movie, but they scrapped it, like a musical movie or something.
That'd be awesome. I hope they pick it back up at some point if Coyote versus Acme is a big enough hit.
Yeah. But I guess, you know, onto the actual movie itself. It's fantastic.
Oh, yeah. I mean, so I love it because it's mainly focused on Porky and Daffy, who are two characters I've always liked, but I feel like now that I've watched them in this context, I love them even more now. They're hilarious together. Yeah, that's that classic, crazy Daffy. That's another thing. I love that this movie really hones in on crazy Daffy. You know, I feel like for years I've loved Daffy as a character, but he's always been like the same joke is like, oh, he's egotistical, he's second banana to Bugs, and that's really all he's ever done. Whereas like here, I feel like this is the first time since the 40s where we've gotten truly like loony, crazy Daffy.
Yeah. It's definitely, and I actually really like the idea. I really like that the emotional core of this movie, if you can call it that, is like the fact that Daffy and Porky are actually siblings instead of a comedy duo, which I mean, that might be weird to some people, but the thing with Looney Tunes is that they switch roles like that like all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So it doesn't really matter.
I mean, you see them as like kids and teenagers. It's like, again, this is just for this canon of the movie. Like, I don't mind that. That's fine.
And something else that's, I should say about this movie. One of the most important things about this movie, not just that it's 2D animated, but that it's a very cartoonist driven movie. Like, you'll see at the beginning when at the credits, they have like 11 writers credited. And you might think like, damn, 11 writers, that's a lot for this kind of movie. But the reason that they're all credited like that is because a bunch of the storyboard artists like contributed jokes and like little scenes and gags and stuff like that throughout the entire thing.
Yeah. I remember first watching the movie and being like, oh no, 11 writers, that's never good. But the movie is incredibly consistent with these characters. And that's because, you said, it's all joke heavy. And so the jokes remain consistent and the character writing remains consistent.
Yeah. Another thing is that, like, I think we talked like the SpongeBob episode we did like I think it's about a year ago now. Jesus.
Yeah.
We talked about how like SpongeBob and the Looney Tunes are very similar in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing with this movie is that in a lot of ways, like rewatching it, the amount of times I've watched it has to be like 7, 8, 9, 10 at this point.
Nice.
Yeah. Actually, before I say that, I do want to mention that I saw this movie 5 times in theaters, I'm pretty sure. I saw them on 5 separate days.
That's awesome.
And there was I actually have a good story. The first time I watched the movie, it was on like the Thursday it came out.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like the Thursday opening. So I was like, okay, I'm probably going to be the only one in the fucking theater. But to my surprise, there was these 2 adults, this young couple, like a dude and his girlfriend. And apparently, like, I talked to the dude like during the trailers when his wife was like or girlfriend was in the bathroom or something, and I was like, "Yeah, you heard about this movie?" And like he said, like he said that he told his girlfriend that they were going to be watching the Minecraft movie, but he like faked a ticket and everything. And so, like, I guess he just surprised his girlfriend with that. And we, after the movie was over, we were talking a bunch too. And she said she actually preferred watching this over that. So, yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, I wanted to go see this movie in theaters, and I did. I'm so glad I did. I mean, I'm not, so I don't really, it depends on the movie. Sometimes I get FOMO where I'm just like, all right, I got to see this in theaters. But sometimes I'm just like, I can wait. This one, I was like, I probably should go see this in theaters. And so I went, I took my sister with me because it's like, just in case it's like a bunch of children, I don't want to be the lone adult man in a theater full of children. Ironically enough, I think my sister, who's like 20, was the youngest one there. It was like me and
that's another thing. The other times I saw this movie in theaters, they were actually like pretty packed theaters.
Yeah.
And like it wasn't even like families with kids or anything. It was mostly adults.
Yeah.
So
I mean, adult fans of Looney Tunes, that's a very common thing. But
I mean, yeah, but it's like,
But that's what I like about this movie is that it doesn't feel like it does feel like it's aimed towards, a younger audience, but I feel like it's aimed at so anybody can watch it. Like you can be an adult and get a lot out of this movie. Like again, I'm 27 years old and I get so much out of this Looney Tunes movie.
Yeah, like kids aren't gonna get the joke at the beginning where there's like, there's one way we can get a job. Wait for a stimulus check.
Yeah. The references to modern day in this movie, I was like a little antsy about because like you get the scene of Daffy twerking, but I think they really know not to make those like the majority of the jokes. They know what to
Here's the thing about that whole thing. I honestly love that joke because okay, the thing with like most like when modern animated movies try to do jokes like that is that they like glorify it basically. Like, look, it's Twitter, or look, we're twerking. Yeah. But in this one, like Daffy, if you notice, there's actually a cool detail. He actually has like negative likes somehow. So his thing is so bad that he just has negative likes.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, it's just like, you're canceled. So like, it's not like they're glorifying it.
Yeah.
doing it in a very Looney Tunes-esque way.
Right.
It's just kind of the same thing to me. Like, especially with like the jokes about like Starbucks and like Uber that come up as well. To me, it's just kind of doing the same thing that they used to do back then, where it's just like, oh, here's like Humphrey Bogart just randomly.
Yeah.
It just kind of feels like that.
Yeah, it is exactly like that. It's just weird at first because we're so familiar with the original cartoons, because we're so separate from the 40s that us watching it in modern day, I was watching these cartoons in the 2000s. Like that was, 60 years ago comparatively. And so like you have that separation. So you just kind of associate that time period with them. So when you see them in modern time, it is a little weird, but these characters are supposed to be timeless. It's just that the peak of them was at that time. So you kind of associate this time period with them, but you're absolutely right. It is the same exact thing. They're just making fun of these aspects because that's exactly what they were doing in the 40s. They were making fun of these aspects.
Yeah. And something else I do want to say about this movie. I feel I was talking about something earlier and then I went off on that story. Do you remember what I was talking about?
No, there's just a lot to talk about with this movie. There's just so much good.
I'll probably remember it eventually. But like one of the things I love about this movie that really makes me enjoy it so much is that like it's very much like it kind of feels like a lot of things it does are very antithetical, or however you say that word, to a lot of how modern animated movies kind of operate. And I already explained that like the movie's generally written by like cartoonists, but also there's the fact that like throughout the movie they kind of make fun of like the typical like animated movie tropes that you would see. Like they still do them, but they kind of make fun of them. Like obviously one of the best characters in the movie, probably the character that everybody remembers, is Farmer Jim. And he's kind of drawn like this cute like Disney-esque like father figure. And like there's a scene at the beginning where like he dies, quote unquote, but the way he dies is that like he just walks like a South Park character off into the sunset, and he just like fades into the sunset.
I love Farmer Jim because he's that classical, like, obviously painted on, like, in cartoons, whenever you watch cartoons, there was like the backgrounds and you could tell like when a character was going to pick something up or interact with a character because they were painted differently than the backgrounds. Whereas here, Farmer Jim is painted like a background and he'll still like move kind of weirdly. And you're just like, oh, okay. Like they're playing with that, with your expectations of that, which is really cool.
Yeah. See, like if this movie wasn't made by cartoonists and it would just regular animated movie writers, there would not be a joke like that at all.
Right, exactly. And then there's that one scene where he does kind of move fluidly, and it's just like the best animation you've ever seen.
It's like Fantasia animation.
Yeah, he's just moving, like turning his head around. He's just turning his head around, and you're just like, oh my god, this is so fluid and smooth.
But genuinely, that might be one of the best animation gags I've ever seen in anything else.
It's great.
That sequence of events.
Yeah, like you said, this is definitely made by people who live and breathe animation, so they know what to poke fun at and what to like do in that situation.
Yeah, but going back to what I was saying, like throughout the movie, they're kind of, they're just kind of asking like, what would Farmer Jim do? Is this what Farmer Jim would want us to do? And it's like, it feels like it's kind of making fun of like emotional journeys in like animated movies that you see all the time.
Yeah, they also.
But
no, go ahead.
In particular, one of my favorite scenes in the movie is just like the typical like third act breakup near the end where they're imprisoned in the alien ship, and they do the thing of like, oh, like I should have listened to you and blah blah blah, but it's taken so unseriously. Like there's just a visual gags throughout the entire thing.
Yeah, you have
and
you have the invader
cry
like
so hard that's how they escape.
yeah, you have they have like their blow up moment where they're like yelling at each other like, you ruin everything, and like the invaders go like, oh ouch, and he's like eating popcorn during it. Yeah, you're right. These are moments that in any other animated movie they'd be taking it so seriously. They're just like, oh, we've been joking the whole movie, but now we're serious about it. It's like, no, this movie never goes that far. They're always making jokes, always poking fun. And yet it never takes away from the emotional core in the movie because, like, I don't know.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it never takes away from it. It's not doing it in like an obnoxious meta kind of way. It's doing it in like a very Looney Tunes kind of way.
Yeah, because these are very loony characters. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, so they do have a third act breakup technically, but they don't spend too much time on it. And they know to go right back to the humor with it. Or like they're still poking fun at it during it, and then like, you know, the next scene they're just like, oh man, like this sucks, and yeah, they cried each other, and that's how they escaped. That's great.
Yeah, I want to talk about the Invader character because he is so like charismatic.
Yes.
And from what I've seen, even some of the people who like the movie, they said like, oh, why isn't the villain Marvin the Martian? But the thing is, like, I don't think Marvin would have worked really well for this role. I think making like a new character like this was kind of a good idea.
Yeah, totally. I like this character because I also like the vocal performance from Peter McNichol, which I thought was really interesting. That, like, you know, this is kind of one of the first Looney Tunes movies that doesn't have like they're advertising real big names. Like, obviously, I don't think Peter McNichol's like a actual voice actor, but he is a known-ish actor. You know, he was in Ghostbusters 2 and stuff like that. But I like that, you know, he's kind of one of the bigger names in the movie, and yet he's only really hired to play the character. Like, you don't hear Peter McNichol, you hear the character of the Invader.
Yeah.
And I really like that because I really like his vocal performance as this character. It's funny. It can be like, you know, threateningly villainous, but like in a fun way. You know, like, yeah, he really makes this character work. And I like that. We're not hiring big names to advertise the movie. We're hiring big names we know can do justice to these characters.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna say it. I do really like the twist where, like, it's just turns out he's not trying to blow up the Earth. He was just trying to protect the Earth from a meteor so he could just get boba tea.
That's it's absurd. Like, it's so funny because the movie, like, it feels like a twist thrown in there just for the sake of the twist, but because the movie is so joke heavy that in and of itself can be considered a joke. So it's like, oh, no, I was trying to save you guys, even though the whole movie he's been doing it so threateningly. Like, that's funny.
Yeah, and also going back to like voice acting, I think both Eric Bauza and Candy Milo do a really good job as you know, Eric Bauza's Daffy and Porky, and Candy Milo's Petunia, which I don't think we even talked about Petunia. There's just so much to talk about.
Yeah, so to go off with Eric Bauza, I talked about this with William, how, like, you know, I like voice actors like Billy West and D. Bradley Baker, but they were kind of shaky as Bugs and Daffy, and then you get Joe Alasky playing both of them back in action, and I much preferred that. I think Eric Bauza does really well as both Porky and Daffy because they're very distinct voices. Like, you know, if I didn't know it was him playing both characters, I would have just assumed it was two different actors.
Yeah.
But yeah, to go off of Petunia. So Petunia, you know, we talked about Lola Bunny with the last movie being just this horrible stereotype of the way female characters are written now. Petunia is so good. Like, I love this character so much because, you know, she's the quirky, nerdy girl character, you know, the nerd because she's very smart, but they're not obnoxious about it. She's actually genuinely funny. And yeah, I love her character so much. I love her relationship with Porky. I think that's done really cutely. And yeah, she gets timed to be a really funny character.
Yeah. I really appreciate kind of the sci-fi horror angle this goes, because you get like a lot of very deranged animation that way.
Yeah. I feel like I've always talked about this with friends for years now, where it's just like, we need a really good 2D horror film. And I feel like this is one of the closest we've ever gotten. Because, like, I feel like that'd be really cool. It might exist. There might be 2D horror films out there. I can't name any off the top of my head. They're probably foreign. But that would be really cool to see, like a genuine horror film done in the 2D style. And I feel like, you know, this is more of a horror comedy in that regard. But I still think like the horror in this situation is done so very well, you know?
Yeah, definitely. And one thing I will say, I find it interesting that, like, kind of, this is probably like a weird comparison for me to make, but there's just so much to talk about with this movie. I kind of find it interesting that like bubblegum is kind of the catalyst of the whole movie, and it's what the villain's plan is around.
Yeah.
Because not only is it like kind of funny, surreal Looney Tunes, but also, at least over here, I don't know about other parts of the world, but at least where I am, bubblegum doesn't seem to be like a huge thing anymore. Like
No.
gas stations and stores and stuff like that only really sell like chewing gum, like regular chewing gum. So I think that just makes this movie feel even more like old school, really.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love how they're just like, oh, we're releasing the new bubblegum flavor to stores, and it's going to all these different stores. I like how it's going to like all these grocery stores and convenience stores, and then it's just like,
and people are treating it like it's the best thing
yeah,
ever.
or like they go, I love the one joke where it's just like gum and also pet store. It's like, that's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like how they're making it a big deal that like, oh, a new gum flavor is coming out. You know, in the real world it's like, so, but like, yeah, because it's Looney Tunes, the fact that everyone's taking this new gum flavor so seriously is so funny. Like, that's part of, again, the humor. You know,
yeah.
I feel like in movies, it's always kind of weird where it's just like, oh, the new thing is coming out. They try to make it like a meta thing, like about entertainment and media, but like, oh, this new television show is big. And it's just like, who watches television anymore? But I feel like because it's gum and it's Looney Tunes, and again, the movie is just a big joke, that like, that's part of the humor. So like, it works.
Yeah, and another thing about this movie, that joke you were talking about, maybe there are so many like little details and visual things in this movie. It's actually kind of insane.
Oh yeah,
like there's stuff that I didn't even notice like on my third watch that I noticed later. Like there's one scene where they're in like the diner, and like there's one point where like Daffy slams the table, and I didn't even notice until like my third or fourth watch that like there's just a salt shaker that just like appears out of nowhere into the frame.
Hilarious.
When he does that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the diner scene's great. So one, the diner is called Clampett Diner. So you're just like,
I was just about to mention that. Yes.
Yeah.
Clampett's that is awesome.
Yeah. So it's obviously paying
And
homage
the
to
waiter-
Bob Clampett. Yep.
The waiter in the scene is voiced by his daughter, Ruth Clampett.
Ruth Clampett. I remember, I think in the theater, like she had a very distinct voice in that moment where I'm just like, that's a reference. Who is that? And then I went home and I looked it up, and it's just like Ruth Clampett. I'm like, oh, I can already tell. Like, I didn't even have to know who Ruth Clampett is. Just having the last name Clampett, I'm like, I know who you are.
And there's also the boba tea house near the end of the movie is named the Texas Tea House, which is a reference to Tex Avery.
That's right. Yeah. Because we talked about how like the gym in the original Space Jam is called like Schlesinger Gym, you know, based off of Leon Schlesinger.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like there's other, like there's got to be other animators referenced in like the stores in this movie. I can't name them off the top of my head, but I'm sure if you go back, there's like plenty of other references like that.
And there's even like you know, unlike Space Jam 2, which was kind of obnoxious with the specific Looney Tunes references, this one has some like really deep cut references. Like one of the people that like Daffy terrorizes with his insanity in that one scene where he finds out that like the gum is controlling people is the guy in that one short where like Daffy's like a bellboy at a hotel, and he's like annoying the shit out of him.
Yeah, the one voiced by the Elmer Fudd voice, Arthur Q. Bryan, but he wasn't doing the Elmer Fudd voice. He got to, you know, pronounce his R's and W's properly.
Yeah,
I remember
and also,
that.
The one thing I noticed is that if you've seen the short called Baby Bottleneck, the one where Porky and Daffy are they're
at a baby factory
because they're like their stork factory and stuff like that, which is probably one of my favorite.
The baby factory. It's so funny.
It's one of my favorite like Looney Tunes shorts ever, probably even my favorite if I'm being honest. And during the scene with the powerhouse sequence where they're in the factory, they're wearing the exact same hats that they wore in that short.
Yeah, that cartoon, I do know which one you're talking about because that's the one I noticed. It's like Daffy has a really big hat in that one, and like
they just give him a big hat for no reason.
So like in the powerhouse sequence and in the montage where they're having all the jobs, whenever they're required to wear hats, his hat is always way too large for him. Like, so that was funny. Yeah, especially during the powerhouse scene. The fact they have a whole powerhouse sequence, like that's definitely like, paying homage. Great. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The references to the original cartoons are not obnoxious like they are in Space Jam 2, because in Space Jam 2 it's like, oh, he's at the barbershop just like Rabbit of Seville. Do you get it?
Yeah.
Whereas like here they're a lot more subtler. I think because rather than trying to relive the heyday of Looney Tunes, it feels like the filmmakers are trying to like, pay homage in a way where they're like trying to be more fresh, be like, let's create newer gags with these characters.
Yeah. And another thing from Space Jam 2 that I think was kind of done better in this, probably because they don't take it as seriously, is the fake out death thing.
Yeah. Oh,
I forgot to mention that in Space Jam 2, the fuck ass fake out death. But
yeah, where they're taking it so seriously, like, oh, Bugs is actually dying. It's like, yeah, I'm waiting. Like, even the first time I watched Space Jam 2, I'm like, I'm waiting for the fake out. When's he coming back? You don't have to keep you're stretching this out farther than it needs to go. I know he's coming back. Oh, look, he's back with LeBron. I'm so shocked that Bugs didn't actually fucking die.
To be more of a negative Nancy for a second, that is genuinely like, I think my least favorite trope like ever, because it's always so obvious. It's not even just like, they don't even subvert it. No, it's just always the most obvious thing.
Right, exactly. Yeah, fake out deaths, especially when it's just like, oh wow, you're really killing off the main character. Wow, you're totally throwing me off, movie. Oh look, the character didn't actually die. I think it's so annoying because when the character does actually die, it pisses me off more. Like in BVS, when they killed off Superman, and I'm like, oh, haha, they killed off Superman. Yeah, sure, guys. And then they actually did kill off Superman in BVS. It's like, oh, this fucking sucks. And then they retcon it in the Justice League movie. It's like he comes
trolling
back.
You almost.
Yeah, it was a total troll move, because then, oh, he comes back in Justice League. It's like, wow, fuck you.
But yeah, in this movie they do the same thing, but I think, like, for one, I don't think they make it super they don't make it super obnoxious that like, oh yeah, they're totally gonna die, totally gonna die in fucking space.
Yeah,
and even when you quote unquote think they die, they do make jokes about it, like, oh, we'll surely name a park bench after them. Like,
I was gonna say, yeah, that's funny. That's a good joke. And then they come back, and it's like, yeah, they don't spend too much time away from them, what they do in Space Jam 2, where it's just like, all right, when's Bugs coming back? Like here, they quote unquote die. They make a couple jokes, and then they're immediately back. Like, again, it's part of the humor.
Yeah. I do really like the emotional core in this movie, though, because I think, again, comparing it to other modern anime, feels more genuine, I guess. Like, I will admit, for like, I don't know if I'm just becoming more of a grump towards animated movies recently or what, but like, it feels like all the time, it's just like, it feels less like they're writing the story around the characters and more just plopping the characters into like whatever 3 or 4 templates they have for animated movies.
Yes. Yeah. I definitely feel that too. Because I mean, I'm not a good person to compare to, because I am very much a grump, but no, but like in all seriousness, yeah, a lot of animated movies feel as though like they're putting down, like, it's very templated, very formulaic. And so here, yes, there is a formula, like, because, there's a beginning, middle, and end. But it's a lot more skeletal. I feel as though there's enough Looney Tunes craziness to really fill it in, where like the formula isn't as obvious. And yeah, like, there's moments where it's just like, oh, the movie can't end yet, so we got to have the moment where like the novelty teeth flip over. Again, hilarious. Yeah. But it is a trope in movies, but done so in a way that like it still feels natural for the story. And like, yeah, you still feel as though the characters are strong enough in who they are as characters that, again, you don't mind. Like, yeah, they have an argument and they're doing it in a loony way. You know, they're not just like taking it uber seriously when they have that third act breakup. They're doing it in a way that a Looney Tunes characters would.
Yeah. And the fucking... Oh, I forgot what I was going to say. Sorry, there's just like all these thoughts, about this movie rambling together.
Something to do with tropes, like how the movie doesn't really fall for these formulas the way that a lot of modern animated movies do.
I was gonna say that like it feels more like the characters are guiding the movie rather than guiding the characters.
Yeah, I always really champion for that. I feel like the best stories are the characters kind of writing the story rather than the story kind of confining the characters, you know. And obviously this is like, you know, a very simplistic version of that, but it's true. Like the characters of Porky and Daffy are loony cartoon characters. They should not be, you know, relegated to typical modern family animated formula of movies. Like I really can't stand when that happens, when like movies that are supposedly like, oh, really new and fresh, and they're following the same fucking family tropes that we've seen in other family movies. It really does get tiring. Whereas, yeah, I feel like here, yeah, there's tropes because, well, it's written to be a movie. Like there are certain ways you write movies, but you can have fun with that. Like, you know, there's that scene where like Porky doesn't show up to bring Petunia to the grand opening of the new flavor. And so you think like, oh, now they're going to be like, oh, I trusted you, but you let me down. But like, they don't do that. They just go right into, you know, the next thing. Like, oh, we got to save the world now. Like they didn't play into that trope. Like, that's great.
Yeah. And the thing is, I do like that the kind of the emotional core of this movie is based on like how loony Daffy is, because that's just kind of his whole character, his whole thing, and it's something he can't really control. But then he realizes like, hey, maybe I don't have to like use this just to fuck everything up. I can use this for good.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, that is kind of cheesy, but they do it in a way that's like very sincere and like really, really great.
You can do cheesy and sincere, and as long as the filmmakers have the passion for the characters and the storytelling to pull that off, you can pull that off very well. And yeah, no, I love that moment. Then when like Daffy's able to go completely loony, because it made me realize, holy shit, we haven't seen this side of him in 80 years. Like, yeah, this was so much fun to see. Like a nice return to form. I love Daffy when he's egotistical because it's Daffy fucking Duck. He's hilarious. But it was nice to get loony Daffy again and realize, wait, there is another side to this character that we haven't seen again in 70 or 80 years at this point. Like it was a nice return to form.
Yeah, if I'm being honest, this movie really, I mean, obviously Porky and Daffy are going to appear in other things because they're still going to keep making Looney Tunes things, but it kind of feels like a great finale for just like this dynamic of Porky and Daffy and just like this era of like Pete Brownguard and his animators trying to bring back the classic style.
Yeah. Bring back the classic.
I think they're kind of all over the place now. I don't think this is actually ever going to come back, sadly, but you know, I think this is a great finale for that.
Yeah. Yeah, because it feels like a finale. It feels like it's celebrating this dynamic, but not doing so in a way where it's just like, oh, we got to relive the classics. It's like, no, give them a new story, give them a new way of getting this this dynamic out. Yeah, it feels like that's why I love this the most when it comes to Looney Tunes movies. Like it feels like it's paying homage, but it's more subtly. It feels like it wants to be this original movie comparatively. You know, obviously it's a Looney Tunes movie, so it's not original, but you know what I mean? Like an original story with these characters. Yeah, no,
it's hard to believe that this is like the only like fully animated Looney Tunes movie that's completely original as well.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, Space Jam was pretty original. Who came up with that? Like, but no. I know what you mean though, because it's wholly original, because it's like, it's not based off of a commercial, and it's not this big meta narrative that Back in Action was. It's just a simple homage to 1950s alien sci-fi movies.
Yeah. I honestly, I can't talk about the theater experience of this movie without talking about like the fucking gag near the end where they do like the audience showing up, silhouette showing up in front of the screen.
Again, something they've done plenty of times in Looney Tunes cartoons, where they have like meta jokes about the audience watching. Like there's so many Looney Tunes cartoons where like a black silhouette of a character pops up, just like, or like he's like walking by, like a black silhouetted character will be walking by, and a character on the cartoon will just be like, "Hey Bob, down in front," and just like knock them out. I think what was that one? It was like this one cartoon where like I forget if it was Elmer, or like an Elmer-esque character like sees like an audience member like being loud and rowdy in the theater.
The one with that's the one with Daffy as well.
Yeah, and he shoots him.
I think I already talked about. Yeah, he just shoots him to death.
That's funny. But yeah, in this one, that's that moment where they're just like, we can only depend on one person, and that's Daffy Duck. And everyone's just like, the duck? And like all the different characters go like, the duck. And then like, then a silhouetted character in the theater gets up and goes, the duck.
And again, that's something that wouldn't work if it was like straight to TV, like it was originally going to be.
Yeah, and it's also just a genuinely funny joke, because then he's just like, oh, I can't take this shit seriously. Who greenlit this garbage? Yeah, it's a funny joke. And it could only work if it was in a theater. It's still funny watching it on Blu-ray at home, because it is just a funny joke. But it especially worked well in theaters. Like experiencing that joke in theaters was just, it was so funny.
Yeah. Very much. And something I do want to point out about this movie, just a little anecdote that I think is really funny about one of the writers for this movie. His name is Johnny Ryan. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Probably not. What has he done?
Johnny Ryan, basically, he was a comics artist originally, and he got the job of writing like the new Looney Tunes, the series that this movie was spun off from. He got a job writing for that. He was one of the main writers. And the thing with Johnny Ryan is that like he was a comics artist, like I said, but like all of his comics were just like, the whole point of them was to just be like as deliberately edgy and shocking and offensive as possible. So you have like, I remember one comic he did where it was like one of the planes that hit the Twin Towers, like having sex with like the South Tower or something. It was like a cartoon of that. And I just found it so funny that like this guy who made comics like that eventually ended up just casually working in children's animation.
That rules. That's awesome. I mean, I am a huge fan of, offensive humor like that, edgelord humor, I guess. I love that shit. I could eat that up all day. But yeah, I think it's a matter of showing like just, I mean, because like, Psychic Pebbles, Zach Hadel, he worked on SpongeBob for a little bit. And I mean, you've seen the fucking cartoons he's drawn.
Yeah. But, something funny I do want to mention about like the show that this was spun on. Have you seen that?
I have not. I haven't seen the HBO Max Looney Tunes cartoons. I should. If they're anything like this movie, then I would absolutely should. Because I love the animation style so much. Like I'm usually a little hesitant when it comes to taking cartoons from back in the day and kind of giving them a much cleaner style. I feel like I've talked about this before, but like when I was a kid, I used to watch, shows like Arthur and Cyber Chase on PBS, and those had a very distinct style to them. And at some point in either the late 2000s, early 2010s, they got updated to like digital animation, where it was obvious they stopped animating like 2D, like drawing, like they updated to computers. And like it was obvious they updated to like Flash animation, because the majority of animation, 2D animation now, I'm sure, is done on computers because, well, it's you kind of have to. It's kind of impossible to make movies like they did at Disney back in the day, where they just hand drew everything. Like, that was pretty fucking hard. So like, if you're gonna make it 2D, you're gonna do it all off computers. That makes sense.
I've seen clips of like the new altered episodes. It looks really bad.
So that's
to be fair, it is PBS, so like I'm not expecting much, but it's still pretty bad.
Well, so that's my point though, is like, when they jumped from 2D animation to then Flash animation, I hated it. Like, I'm probably, if I watch these episodes now, I'd be like, whatever, like it's whatever. But I feel like it made me stop watching those shows, because then I'm just like, I mean, I was also getting older, so it's like, I'm not watching Arthur or Cyber Chase anymore. I'm growing up. But the point is, like, it still made it kind of hard to watch those shows in reruns, because it's like, I don't want to see this new style. So like, and everybody knows I'm a big Simpsons fan. I really don't like the modern HD style of Simpsons. I much prefer the old 90s version, where it's just like obviously all hand drawn. So my point is, I really like the style of this movie, because yes, it's a lot cleaner than, the old Looney Tunes of old, but I still feel as though that Looney style is still present in the movie. And I like that they go a little further than hand-drawn ever would. Like, I feel like the character models in this go way out. Like, they're so wacky, but, wacky in a way that's still entertaining. Where like, they're bouncy, they're fluid, and they can just like, they just have such big expressions. I like that. I like that we can do that with this, with the ways we animate things now. Like, we can go bigger with the reactions. Obviously they went 100%. Bigger. They went bigger, as big as they could in the old days. And I respect those a lot, but I am glad that like, you can still retain that loony nature and like kind of push it even further with the way they're animated in this.
Oh yeah, I love that kind of animation. But the reason I was bringing up the show is because one thing that I think is very interesting about the show is that like, it keeps like the, like the slapstick roots. It keeps pretty much everything. It even, but the thing with the show is that I think like in terms of like dark humor and like violent slapstick, they actually go a bit further than the Golden Age shorts in some instances, which I think is really funny.
Oh, hell yes.
Like, I mean, obviously there's no like blood or like anything like that, but like the slapstick is definitely a lot more overt. Like in the old days, like usually they would, like if someone like Yosemite Sam got like ravaged by like lions or something, they would like probably cut away from it. But in this one, they show like every like wrinkle and like ripped body part and stuff like that.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that's great. And that's great. And the reason why I bring that up is because surprisingly, I didn't really see that there was any of that DNA in this movie, even though it's basically the same team. I guess they didn't really want to do it.
Right.
But
yeah, because you don't.
I mean, it's not to say that like, that's not to say that like there are no like jokes that adults would find funny, but it's just like they don't really go for dark stuff,
right?
Aside from the horror angle.
Yeah, I think the horror angle is where the dark stuff comes in. So that maybe that's, if they were able to include the horror stuff, they couldn't go too dark with comedy. Maybe, I don't know. Yeah, I think there's plenty for adults to get out of this. Like, I think it's one of those all age movies. Like, you could watch this at 4, you could watch this at 40. Like, it's perfect for anybody to watch and get something out of it. I mean, if you're not into Looney Tunes as a concept, maybe you wouldn't get that much out of this, but hey, it's worth a shot.
I mean, like, who isn't? Miserable people?
Yes. Which, hey, I'm miserable, but I love the Looney Tunes. So
yeah. Fucking, I don't know. I feel like we've covered everything about this movie that I've wanted to say.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing I've noticed on the podcast. Like, we could talk about things for hours and I'll still come away being like, oh, I didn't mention this. Like, famously, I'll bring it up again. The Alien episode was 9.5 hours long. I probably still have so much more to say about a lot of those movies, but no, but like, I'm glad I was able to rewatch this, because I remember watching it in theaters and being like, this ruled. But like, you know, like you can always be kind of uneasy when watching a movie for the first time because you're just like, this was awesome. And then you watch it again and you're like, it doesn't hit quite the same. I was a little scared. Like some things weren't hitting quite the same at the beginning of this movie on my rewatch, but going through more of it and more of it. And by the end, I'm just like, no, this absolutely fucking holds up. It's so funny.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it is the quintessential Looney Tunes movie. And
Yes.
I think, in terms of my claim of it being my favorite animated movie, I mean, obviously there's some competition. Like I would say like maybe, if I'm being honest, I don't think I've ever really had a favorite animated movie just because I've seen so many of them.
Yeah, I'm the same
but I
way.
think there are some candidates, like obviously like the original hand-drawn Lion King and also Monsters Inc. that were really personal to me.
Right.
But I think this one I'm prone to call my favorite because it just hits like everything that I love. I don't think there's a single aspect of it that I'm like, you know, maybe I'm not as invested in this as I would be. No, like everything is specifically anchored to my tastes in animation, and I think that's why I'm comfortable with actually putting it as my favorite. Whereas other people would probably say like, "Oh, it's just a good movie."
Mhm.
Like but you know, it's just a very personal movie to me. It's one that I followed even before it came out.
Right.
So, you know.
Yeah, I'm similar in the fact that I can't really name a favorite animated movie. Like I would say by default The Incredibles is my favorite animated movie because it's like number 4 in my favorites list. And it's just the one that's at the top. But like I don't love The Incredibles because it's animated. I love The Incredibles because it's The Incredibles. You know,
Yeah.
but everything, it just so happens to be, you know, animated, but I love everything about it. Yeah, I don't know if I would consider this my favorite, but it's part of my favorites list now. Like it's up there, you know, so I've officially added it to my favorite movies list because it's just that good. And I got so much out of it on second viewing. Yeah. I don't know if it's my favorite animated Looney Tunes thing ever. It's up there. I'm trying to think if it's one of my favorite modern Looney Tunes thing because I really liked Daffy and Wacky Land a lot. You know that
was actually that was part of Looney Tunes cartoons,
right?
The show, but it was just kind of done in a different style.
Yeah, I kind of figured. Yeah, that was a short. It used to be on Letterboxd. It's not anymore. I don't know why because it fucking rules. But like that's a very good example of like, you know, how timeless these characters can be. And especially it's a great example of like, holy shit, they can work in stop motion. Like I was shocked that, you know, these characters who, when you animate them, they're quick, you know, and you're doing it in this style of animation that is relatively very slow. And they did it all in stop motion, and they were able to utilize that craziness that the Looney Tunes are famous for into stop motion perfectly. Like that may be my favorite modern Looney Tunes thing, but this is like a very close second.
Yeah, that short is also really good. I think to kind of wrap up here, because I wanted to do this at the beginning, but I kind of just want Space Jam 2 just to fucking tear it a new asshole. But I should explain like kind of my history with Looney Tunes because obviously like I'm as much of a big fan of them as I am with SpongeBob because again they are very similar.
Yeah,
in a lot of ways.
Very
just that one is older than the other. So the thing is that like as a kid I grew up in the late 2000s. So this is the point where like they weren't really playing like old theatrical cartoons on TV anymore. Like at that point, it was like, you know, Turner bought the rights to all the cartoons and they weren't playing on like, you know, over the air, like, you know, ABC, CBS anymore. So I kind of grew up in a time where they were just on like Cartoon Network and Boomerang. And even then they wouldn't really play them on Cartoon Network.
Right.
So the bulk of my Looney Tunes was from these, my uncle and my grandma had like a bunch of VHSs of it, both like official Warner Brothers and like the shitty public domain ones. Nothing as shitty as maybe like the 50 cartoons VHS you had and that you covered, but like you know, there was public domains. And I remember I don't think it was the first one I ever watched, but I remember the first one that I was kind of blown away by was the one called Falling Hair, the one with the gremlin.
The gremlin one.
Bugs Bunny.
Yeah.
Yeah. because that was on a lot of public domain stuff. And the thing with that cartoon is that now it's not even that I can just recite it word for word. I can like recite it like the timing of like literally everything that happens. I think
that's awesome. Yeah. I feel like I've talked about this before, but my introduction to Looney Tunes, I'm pretty sure, was that Best of Bugs VHS tape I've probably talked about before. And I'm pretty sure the first one on that one was Hair Department, where he's like, no, Hair Conditioned, I think it's what it's called. The one where he's like going through the department store.
You know what? I think I had that exact same fucking VHS.
Probably, yeah.
I'm pretty sure the first cartoon on that VHS was that one.
Yeah.
And it was a Bugs Bunny one.
Yeah.
I think we had the same VHS.
I'd like to see something simple in a pair of slippers. Confidentially, so would I. It's so good. Yeah, no, that we don't have that VHS anymore. I kind of want to buy it, but like I think it goes for like outlandish prices on eBay, so it's just like no thanks.
Yeah, I remember like just to make sure, if you can remember, there were other cartoons on there that I really one called Hair Tonic,
where
Elmer Fudd gets rabbititis.
Hair Tonic rules. Oh my god, I love that. I love that cartoon even more as an adult now. Like when I watched it again, I'm like, this is so fucking funny. Yeah, there is Easter eggs where he becomes the Easter Bunny.
That one is one of my favorites.
I want an Easter egg. I want an Easter egg. I want an Easter egg.
I make sure to watch it every Easter.
Oh, it's so good. That there's one, what's that one called? It's the one that introduced me to Yosemite Sam. What's that one called? That's like,
was it the pirate ship one?
Buccaneer Bunny or something like that? Yeah. That one made me cry laughing as an adult, because I watched that again recently and I'm like, this is even funnier than I remember. My God,
my favorite gag in that is the one where like Bugs keeps throwing the match in the gunpowder and Sam's like, no. He keeps getting back up.
Yeah, exactly. Or when he gets in the boat, he fucking rows away, realizes he doesn't have any oars. He goes back and gets the oars.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's another one, Bowery Bugs, I think that one was like the last one where he's like getting interviewed about his like days in Manhattan.
Oh yeah, he gleefully like recounts the tale of how he drove a man to suicide by jumping off the bridge.
That maybe that's not the one I'm thinking of. The one I'm thinking of is the one of that might be Bowery Bugs. I'm thinking of the Manhattan Bunny one where like
oh no, yeah.
The gang of dogs.
Hair grows in Manhattan.
A hair grows in Manhattan. Yeah, he's like fighting with this bulldog, and like this bulldog just goes like, "Hey, wait a minute."
Dog paw on the rabbit, dog paw on the rabbit.
yeah, that's great. Oh, there's another one. The one I haven't actually seen since then. I think that was the one with like the Native American stereotype. I forget what it's called.
I do remember that one. I think that one's called A Feather in His Hair.
A Feather in His Hair, yeah. I haven't rewatched that one because I haven't found
that one.
It
hasn't been like that one. Obviously, hasn't been restored on a Blu-ray yet.
No,
it's one of those,
because it has a very offensive stereotype of Native Americans. One so offensive, it didn't click with me that that's supposed to be a Native American person as a kid. Like, because like it's like I don't know anybody who looks like this, so that it never clicked with me that that's who that's supposed to be. It's obvious why that one hasn't been restored. Let me see if I can find that one, and I'll watch it after we record this, because that'd be really funny to watch. That's a VHS I grew up watching, and I've kind of want it back because it was like a very influential part of my upbringing when it comes to Looney Tunes.
Yeah. And something else about like, especially back then watching like VHS is it does kind of like, even when I was a kid, I kind of understood that like, okay, like these are pretty old and before my time, but they were entertaining anyway. Whereas if you showed a kid like one of the like new Blu-rays they have going on, which I mean, they're great Blu-rays, but if you showed it to a kid now, they probably wouldn't even really realize that it was old.
Yeah.
Because they've cleaned up so much about it.
That's a good point. Yeah. That's why I still hold on to VHS tapes. I like that aesthetic. I like the scratchy aesthetic of VHS tape, the kind of grunginess of it. because that's part of, you know, the experience of watching things. Obviously, yeah, you want nicer versions of stuff. So like, yeah, I have like a lot of Looney Tunes on DVD, like the Golden Collection, but that's why I also keep the 50 of the Greatest Cartoons VHS tape, because I like that aesthetic. I like that I can watch the Dark Crystal in nice 4K sharpness, but I also have it on VHS now because I like watching that movie in that VHS quality. That's kind of part of the aesthetic of this like 80s dark fantasy movie. You watch it with that VHS aesthetic. It kind of adds to it.
Yeah. I might need to watch The Dark Crystal just like out of obligation now.
Oh, you haven't yet?
Associated with you.
Yeah.
No, I have not.
Okay, yeah, it's not easy to find. I don't think it used to be on Netflix. Now it's not, even though the Netflix show is on Netflix. I figure that one out. It used to be on Tubi. It might still be on Tubi. Let me check this. Keep talking.
Yeah, but like yeah, that was just kind of my thing with Looney Tunes.
Oh, it is on Tubi.
And then oh, good. I think it was around like 2019, 2020 where I actually started to get more into like researching about the actual cartoons themselves, like the directors and the, you know, watching them again and different like animators and like Leon Schlesinger, you know, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 2023, I actually starting January 1st, 2023, I ended up binging. I ended up getting and binging the entire classic Looney Tunes filmography, and it took me about 2 months.
Yeah. 2 months. Wow.
Yeah. I mean, the thing with me is I'm not usually a very, very fast watcher, but you know, that's still pretty impressive to watch. What is it, like 1,000 shorts in like 2 months?
Oh yeah. So that's what I've been trying to do this year, tune maxing. It clearly didn't work because I started tune maxing and then I kind of dropped it to Monk Max when we were talking about Alvin and the Chipmunks stuff a couple months back, and then I had to do Superman Summer, the Summer of Superman. So I've just been pushing off this stuff, but I still, even though it's probably not going to happen this year, tune maxing, I would like to eventually watch all 1,000 cartoons.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I love these characters. I think now more than ever, I love these characters. I love these cartoons. And I think it's thanks to, you know, movies like The Day the Earth Blew Up. It's thanks to reconnecting with movies like Back in Action. It's thanks to getting them physically because, you know, they're not on fucking HBO Max anymore. Now they're on Tubi, but not all of them. You know, I think all these things coming together to make me really appreciate these characters now more than ever. Like, yeah, I'm a huge Looney Tunes fan now. That I want to watch all 1,000. I'm getting there. I'm not even a quarter of the way there. I've seen so many. I'm not even a quarter of the way there, but I'm making my way downtown.
To be fair, I think it is better to go at it, kind of chip away at it piece by piece rather than me binging it.
Right. Yeah. That, because like I love binging. I love marathoning a franchise. You know me. I love my franchise reviews here on the podcast. I love making episodes on different franchises. It's like, oh, I get to watch this movie and watch this movie, and then we talk about it on an episode. But like, you know, that's movies. Like, you know, it's a lot to watch 1,000 cartoons.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it is best to just take my time on this one. But yeah.
All right, and honestly, I think that's pretty much it.
Yeah, I will say I will never have Space Jam 2 on Blu-ray. Fuck that movie. I'm never watching it again. Well, never say never.
I mean, I do as part of like the 2-film collection. But
yeah. But now you can do like a funny, I don't know, throw the disc out the window thing and never watch it. But unless both movies are on the disc, in which case don't do that. But I do have Day the Earth Blew Up on Blu-ray. Once it was available to pre-order, I got it. I will say it's a very lame Blu-ray. I
think that's just because like they took the movie from Warner Brothers and like Catch Up Entertainment had to make it. I think
they did the best they
that's
could.
Why.
Yeah, which honestly, fine. I'm sure, you know, like we're in the golden age of physical media. I'm sure someday the movie will be nostalgic enough for people to like get like a nice 4K release, a nice like interviews with the cast and crew, like a much nicer edition than just slapping it on a Blu-ray. But if this is what we have for now, fine. I'll deal with it.
I think it's very much. I was DMing this about you like a week ago, but I think it's very much a golden age of like getting old cartoons on physical media again.
Absolutely.
And like restoring them.
Yeah, like I mean the big thing this week. I mean, this episode's going to be coming out a couple weeks after we record this, but you know, Tom and Jerry's getting a release. You know, we were talking about
Hell
that.
Yeah.
William was just like, I didn't even know that was happening. Like, now I do, because like that fucking rules. Like, yeah, that's awesome. Like, more, we're never gonna get that with Looney Tunes, because that's a tall order to put 1,000 cartoons on a Blu-ray. But
yeah,
you know, the fact that Tom and Jerry's getting it, that's good enough. I'll take that.
They could do like a whole Bugs Bunny one, but the problem is that there's stuff like all this in Rabbit Stew and like what we were talking about with the Native Americans. So.
We're never all this in Rabbit Stew. It probably is never going to get anything past what it is on 50 of the greatest VHS tape, 50 of the greatest cartoons VHS. That's as nice a quality as all this in Rabbit Stew is ever going to get. I say that, I'm sure tomorrow they're going to be like, hey, we're putting the censored 11 on 4K. Which would be
wild.
That'd be, honestly, I would get it. If people would look at me funny, I don't care. I would get it.
It's a part of history regardless.
Yeah,
so, like, it's good to have it.
I would have the censored 11 on 4K just for the novelty of it.
Yeah, I don't know the probability, especially because of, you know who's current administration. I don't know the probability of them like actually going through with something like that.
No, of course
not.
But
it would be nice regardless.
Absolutely, yeah. As a what if, I would love it, but it would probably never happen in a million years. But if it ever happens, I will buy it. You people can come back to this and quote me on this. I will get the censored 11 on 4K if it's ever a thing.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, like I said, I'm keeping this Blu-ray for the day the Earth blew up, because this is just such a special movie. It's I don't think, hold on, because like it's technically a 2025 release. It's technically 2024, which kind of annoys me that Letterboxd does that. But anyway,
they don't go by like the actual wide release of the movie. They often go by like when it's shown in like festivals and stuff like that.
Which is why Hundreds of Beavers is a 2022 release, even though it was widely released in 2024. Like, yeah, that just bothers me. But whatever. Day the Earth Blew Up. It's now my third favorite movie of the year. It's just behind Superman and Ice Cube's War of the Worlds.
I have not seen that. I do want to watch that because apparently it's just, I guess it's like the quintessential funny bad movie of the year.
Oh, it's hilarious. Like, I know a lot of people were shitting on it. I mean, rightfully so, because it is bad, don't get me wrong, but it was just really funny that people were like, this is the worst piece of shit I've ever seen. And then I watch it, I'm like, I've seen worse than this, but it's so funny. It is hilarious. It genuinely had me crying laughing, almost as much as The Day the Earth Blew Up, but like I was laughing at War of the Worlds and not laughing with The Day the Earth Blew Up. But also I really love that new James Gunn Superman. After going through, like I said, I've been toon maxing, but I also was doing a lot of Superman movies. So to watch all these Superman movies, super maxing, and then go into James Gunn Superman, that one was just, it meant a lot to me. So, but yeah, Day the Earth Blew Up and Superman are my two best of the year so far, for realsies, as opposed to War of the Worlds, where it's like ironically, but still, it is funny to put War of the Worlds at the very top.
It is.
Anyway, so yeah, I'm keeping this Blu-ray. I assume you are too.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, 100%. All right, Matt, before we head out, why don't you shout out your stuff? Where can people find you?
Yeah. I don't necessarily create video review content, but I do have both an art account on Twitter and on Instagram. Mm-hmm. So that's where you can, and I have made fan art of the Looney Tunes characters. I even made fan art of this movie after it came out. So,
but have you done fan art of Big Chungus?
I have not, no.
Better get on it.
I probably should. Yeah.
But But yeah, anyway, your links will be in the description down below. I'll just copy and paste them from last time on the SpongeBob episode to now. But I mean, if you have other, I don't remember if you said the Instagram one from last episode. It's been.
I think I did.
It's been a year since the SpongeBob episode. I don't remember.
Yeah, I think I did.
Okay.
I don't really have anything else aside from a letterbox, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess I could plug my letterbox too, even though I don't really. I mean, I write like joke reviews, I guess.
Yeah.
But I don't really. The thing with me is that, like, aside from movies like this, where I'm like really passionate about them, I don't tend to like review them that in depth. It's just kind of most of my ratings are just kind of a gut feeling, really.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I mean I'm the same way, and do you see how that happens? You see how that turns out?
Yeah.
But sometimes I try to be serious, where I'm just like, this is good, maybe, I don't know, but then sometimes I just save to wait to talk about it on the podcast, so that's why a lot of reviews don't go that in depth. But sometimes I can't help myself. Sometimes I'm just like, I gotta write several paragraphs about fucking, I don't know, what was the last big review I wrote. This is all very important. I'm glad I'm prolonging the ending of the podcast for this. I don't know. I talked about different movies. Okay, here. Everybody, go watch AJ Goes to the Dog Park and Bubba the Redneck Werewolf. Those are the movies we watched on Wheel Night yesterday. They ruled. Yeah, that's how we'll end the episode. Oh, wait. We have 3 words to end the podcast episode, especially this one with. Matt, do the honors.
Re-rapper now.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. That's all, folks.
Yeah.
Just